The NZ V8 Utes have been entertaining this weekend. Here's the grid lineup for race 3. Kane Lobb and Chris Hanley topping the points. They start off the front row. Simon Byrne and Jeff Spencer from row number 2. Bob Grove had a good weekend, lines up off row number 3 alongside Mike Longfoot. James Urquhart and Graham Byrne from row 4. Peter Robb and Scott McKelvey from row number 5. Chris Pither with some work to do in this one after all sorts of dramas from row 6 alongside Jeff Kernahan. Rob Jarvis from row 7 alongside David Kernahan, with Peter Chaos Ward completing the grid for the final race of the weekend from Pukekohe for the NZ V8 Utes. So it's the defending NZ V8 Ute champion Chris Pither with dramas this weekend. He finds himself a long way back on the grid as we go to green. Kane Lobb, the top point scorer for the weekend so far, starts off the front row and gets the jump down into turn number 1. Pither will be the one to watch. It's been a bit of a weekend of mistakes and there's contact already in the midfield. I think James Urquhart was in the middle of it as we go on board with Mike Lightfoot.
Hugging that inside quarter going round the sweep is not the place you want to be, mixing the tarmac with a bit of the old dirt, especially in the first lap of the final showdown for the NZ V8 Utes. And they have turned it on for the good fans here today at Pukekohe at the Fujitsu 200.
Pither goes by Peter Robb, the Rocket Man, in the Hill Country Helicopters VE. So Pither, he admitted to running a little bit wide in that second race down through the first turn, and that's what happened. But then the engine shut down when it ran over the curves through the grass, and that's why Graham Byrne shortened him up off the exit. Poor old senior with nowhere left to go.
Talking about nowhere left to go, out onto the dirt, slides it back on.
Mike Lightfoot running wide off the exit of the hairpin. Buzz, he's had an eventful weekend.
He's been right up there mixing it with these young guns and some of the older boys, of course. Loves his racing and really getting a big welcome for the first time as a serious racer for the year.
Yeah, round 1 of the Motorsport New Zealand Premier Race Championship Series, and it's been some fantastic action from the NZ V8 Utes this weekend from Pukekohe Park Raceway. Notable efforts in race number 2, Jeff Spencer, his first podium in NZ V8 Utes, and Bob Grove, the elder statesman of the class, with a third place finish as well, holding off Junior Burner.
Well, I can tell you that Jeff Spencer from Palmerston North, the barn company dude, he was absolutely wrapped. He said, Brownie, been doing this for about 3 years, first time podium, so I'm not a silly sausage after all, mate. But he wants to show everyone his rear view. Wonder what that's all about, car 22.
Oh, it's got some interesting artwork on the back bumper as we're on board with Chris Pither on the split screen. Kane Lobb heading down towards the hairpin. Oh, it's Chris Hanley's trying hard, stepping out the rear of the mainline construction VE Holden. So the points for the 2 races so far heading into race number 3 stack up how, Brownie?
Kane Lobb is right on top with 202 points, and then it's Simon Byrne Jr., who is second with 181, and then it's Chris Hanley, your first winner from race 1 with 173, which is a great effort by the rookie, and then Jeff Spencer with 145. So that's your top 4. And Chris Pither hasn't done too bad, actually. He's in the top 5 with 139 points, despite busting the axle in race 1, the drama in race 2. He's still been able to get those finishes, and here he is mixing it as they slide around the sweeper.
Around the outside of Sly and Dirty Bob Grove. Yeah, well, Tim Vickers has done that at least 4 times this weekend. That's just showing off. So
that's what the Utes are about, aren't they? A bit of show-off stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Pither working his way for the defending NZ V8 Ute champion into the 4th season of this championship in New Zealand. Junior Byrne feeling the attentions of the Gypsy. That's not necessarily a good thing.
Got the old afterburner on now. Look at that. He's going to make 1, 2, late and hard under the brakes.
We'll be doing well to get by Spence in the 22. He's got to the outside, which will turn back to the inside to the left-hander. I think he's made the stick. Clint, he may have picked up 2 positions. Spence, though, is going to... I think he's got some revival about him after that podium in race number 2. He's going to fight with Pither. No, he concedes. Pither takes the position.
Mate, that's experience. That's the class of a champion driver there. He really nailed that.
Through to 3rd he goes. So Jeff Spencer 4th, Simon Byrne in 5th in the McDonald's Ford. Grove, Lightfoot. Then back to Scott McKelvey. He's had a pretty solid weekend. He's, 7th in the points going into the final race. Oh, and around, halfway around, he gathered it back up. Mike Lightfoot. He's still going.
He's a bit heavy on the old foot. onto. And you don't want to get onto those ripples because that's where you start shredding tyres, especially in the late part of the afternoon.
Well, I'll tell you what, the drifting boys would be proud of that effort. It started at the first S behind Bob Grove. McKelvey's going, which way do I go? He's still wondering where to go this time as Lightfoot comes back out on the track, and he's still going sideways through to Castrol. This is the onboard shot. Well, that Castrol sign was coming up rather quickly.
He sort of did the reverse sort of S's through the S's.
That was a monumental tank slapper, and Scott McKelvey is ahead of him now in the Icon number 27.
And Scott says the hardest thing, he's used to just booting it from the line in the production cars and the Evos, but haven't got the same sort of amount of revs here, so it's a bit different for him to make the adjustment, getting out of PRS and getting into the NZ V8 Utes.
2 less driving wheels.
Exactly, and a big rear end.
There's
he's
Bob
having a good
Grove.
fun.
There is Bob Grove, scored in the 6th position. So Kane Love leads by 3.8 seconds from Chris Hanley, and Chris Pither in 3rd. Pither may be able to do enough here if he can get near the front to maybe salvage a podium out of the weekend. Lightfoot again with further dramas down through the S's. He's having an eventful weekend. So Love leading the points from Chris Hanley. Young Chris Hanley's done an outstanding job, the young rookie. So Lightfoot again living dangerously, and I think he just may be having some braking dramas. He just pinched that left front going through the S's.
And if he keeps running over those ripples, mate, he could be having some tyre dramas toward the ends of this 12-lapper. Look, this is Kane Love, the Ginger Ninja. He's sitting pretty to take out the round, but look at Pither putting on the pace. He's all over Chris Hanley like a V8 Ute rash.
Well, I think if Chris thinks about this as that's Lightfoot going off yet again. He's definitely got dramas, and Graham Byrne has gone with him in the John Jones Steel Ford.
Well, at least he's avoided the beach. We've had 1, 2, 3 cars, 2 cars into the beach, but at least Buzz hasn't put it in the beach this time.
We've had a sweepstake going as to who would find the gravel in the hairpin in race number 3, but as yet I don't think anyone's found it. As Pither goes by Hanley for that 2nd position. I was just about to say, I think Pither, if he thinks about points, can probably concede the position to Pither and still probably retain 2nd overall for the round, which is important at the early stages of a championship.
Yeah, this is good smart driving by Chris Pither here, because he's had his bad moments, but now he's just driving with pace to pick up the points.
Here's the replay. Here it comes. Oh, there was Lightfoot going off backwards.
There's smoke in the background. Here's Senior.
Senior's come off the grass on the other side of the straight. Maybe he saw Lightfoot coming and just moved over to let him go through.